You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hi there, Bold and the Beautiful fans. Well, Brooke Logan just slapped and dumped Ridge Forrester, and that means she may get cozy with a new man soon. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and let's dive into what hunk might catch Brooke's eye now that Ridge is getting frisky with Taylor Hayes, and Brooke says she's done with him for good. And if you're not subscribed, please click that button. All right, let's talk about who would be the best man to replace Ridge. It was kind of interesting that Brooke said some things to Ridge that reminded me of things Hope Logan said to Liam Spencer, you know, the other big waffle boy on B&B. Remember when Hope and Liam were splitting? Hope said she wanted a man who loves only her, unlike Liam, who always had half of his heart with Steffi Forrester. So when Brooke ranted at Ridge that he always runs back to Taylor, it instantly made me think of when Hope was ranting at Liam. And both of the ladies are correct. They deserve a man who loves only them. I mean, doesn't every woman? So let's talk about some options for Brooke's next romance that should be a man who would give her his whole heart. So first, I have to mention someone who has been crazy about Brooke Logan for a long time, someone she shares a child with, and who was the last man to propose marriage to her back in 2022. Although he is married to someone else right now, I'm talking about Deacon Sharpe. He really loves Brooke. And if you remember, when Ridge slapped Brooke with an annulment over the fake CPS call and wouldn't even listen to her explanations, that was when Hope was encouraging her dad Deacon to propose to Brooke, and he did. She said no, and he is now hitched to psycho Sheila Carter. But I could see Deacon tossing the nine-toed bad woman out of his life if he got another shot with Brooke. However, that would be a bad idea for her to even consider, because if that happens, Sheila might come after Brooke. You know, she's not going to let anybody take her man. So maybe Deacon is not a good idea. So second, we have to talk about this stallion, Bill Spencer. He's got no girlfriend right now. He adores Brooke, and she's the reason that Katie Logan wouldn't reconcile with Bill. If you remember, back in 2016, Brooke actually told Bill that he was the greatest love of her life, but she said Katie could never know. The problem was, if you remember, Brooke's sister overheard them, and Bill felt the same way. That's why Katie refused to reconcile with him most recently, and then she had issues with him back then. She doesn't want to be his second choice when, you know, Brooke's not around. He only looks at her when Brooke's not available, and she told him she was tired of it. And usually Bill would run right over to start romancing Brooke the moment he hears that she and Ridge have split. But Bill can't really date right now because he brought home homicidal Luna, so he can't have Brooke stopping by or sleeping over. Luna being on house arrest definitely puts a crimp in any potential romance that Bill might consider. So for that reason, Brooke may need to look further away from her past than Deacon and Bill. And I definitely think Brooke should look for a little revenge on Ridge with her next romance. Somebody that it would bother him, you know, the way him being with Taylor bothers her. So let's talk about a third guy from Brooke's past. This one is a hunk, and her reuniting with him would really annoy Ridge because it's his brother. How fun would it be to have Jack Wagner back as Nick Maroney? If Brooke reconciled with Ridge's little brother, I think that would be amazing. And it's been a while since we've seen them together. And yes, Nick married her daughter Bridget 3 times in the past, but, you know, she and Bridget have overlapped. They seem to have similar taste in men. And it's not like Nick is seeing Bridget now. And even when Nick was with Bridget, he always had a hankering for Brooke, to the point of it being a fixation, an obsession. And there's another reason it would be interesting to have Nick back right now, because we've been talking about the Electra Forrester photo scandal, and Brooke and Katie mentioned understanding things like that. If you remember back in the 2000s, I think it was, when Nick considered calling off his wedding to Brooke over that nude billboard of her that was put up by their wedding venue. I think Stephanie and maybe Massimo were involved in that. I'm stretching my brain to remember the details, but I remember he considered calling it off. He was very put out about it. He didn't like it. So that would just be kind of timely because they're doing this other storyline like that. I think Nick could be a welcome return. We last saw Jack Wagner as Nick in 2022. It was during a 35th anniversary episode, but it was just a fantasy sequence where she was thinking back about great loves of her lives. It wasn't a real return. I'd like to see Nick really return. And another brother of Ridge could be a possible option. So he's number 4 on my potential love interest list, Thorne Forrester. A ton of fans would love to see Windsor Harmon back to B&B for a nice long stay. We last saw Thorne in late 2023 when his dad, Eric Forrester, was suffering that near-death medical crisis, but we got him for, 2, maybe 3 episodes, not very many, and then he just evaporated. It was like a token bring back. And like with Nick, I think it would really chafe Ridge to see one of his brothers with Brooke now that she has walked out on him and said she regrets ever meeting him. The last time Thorne was around for any length of time was during the 2017 and 2018 recast when Ingo Rademacher played the role. And then 5 years later, they brought Windsor Harmon back to reprise the role during the Eric death crisis. And Windsor doesn't have any other projects that I've seen on his IMDb, so he might be available to consider coming back as Thorne, and I know a lot of fans would love that. And, it would be nice to see Brooke with a face we haven't seen in a while, Deacon's married, Bill's got a psycho hidden in the house, and, we've not seen Nick in a good long time. Plus, Jack Wagner is busy working on When Calls the Heart. So if it's going to be a blast from Brooke's past, I think Thorne Forrester would be the best option. And last, but by no means least, the 5th option for a rebound romance for Brooke Logan would be for them to pair her with someone she's never dated. They could bring somebody new in, but they don't generally add to the cast that often. And the ones they're adding now are younger people. But somebody I know who is coming back to Bold and the Beautiful in 2025 for some sort of storyline, I think would be a really good match for her. Brad Bell confirmed in his 2020 preview for B&B that Ted King is coming back. So Jack Finnegan, could be seen again in a storyline with Lee or Poppy or this Luna thing since he's a lawyer. But I think it'd be great, whatever he's coming back for, if he wound up dating Brooke. Not that she needs another cat in her life, but I love Ted King. The last time we saw Jack, it was the night Tom Starr died at Il Giardino when he was there as a red herring possible suspect. And if they did pair Brooke with Jack, at least it would be something fresh for her rather than a recycled relationship. Brooke and Jack are both single, gorgeous, and successful, both complicated people. And hopefully Jack has grown out of this whatever cheating thing. And I know Lee Finnegan doesn't want him back. So, that might be fun. Or Bold and the Beautiful could do something really daring and cast a new man for her, but that seems increasingly unlikely. Jack already being on the character canvas makes sense if they want her in a new romance without having to add to the cast overall. So I'm really, really hoping Brooke pays Ridge back by finding another man who wants just her and doesn't have a second choice woman waiting in the wings.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.